Hi everyone, good afternoon. So let's wait a few minutes for others to join, then we'll start the live proper. Hi, you're notified. Good afternoon. I'm waving from here. Okay, so welcome to our live session. My name is Alima Ade from Nexi Concept Limited, and we all know as a culture we hold our live session every Wednesday, and in rare occasions do we hold it on other days apart from Wednesday, but we always give notification before that happens. But we also want to extend a warm appreciation to all those who usually are consistent with joining our live session every Wednesday to get information, juicy information that we bring up about studying abroad. Okay, I want to say thank you to all of you that are always consistent in joining. I've seen some of the names here. I hope we provide you with valuable information always. So as you join in, we just want to do a little exercise. As you join in, please feel free to drop hello and where you're viewing this live session from so we can give you a shout out. So just send hello and where you're joining the live session from or where you're viewing the live session from so we can give you a brief shout out. Hi, Dr. Justice, viewing us from Lagos. Welcome to today's live. We appreciate you and we hope you get valuable information today. Hi, Gabs Anyanwu. You're watching us from Abuja. Thank you for joining our live session and we hope you get valuable information. Hi, you're notified. We're happy to see you here. Thank you for joining our live session from Ikeja, Lagos. We're also seeing Afro Sushi from Accra, Ghana in the house. Hi. Hi, Pearls Royalty. Hi. All right, thank you so much for joining our live session today. So we'll just go proper to the events of the day. Thank you. Yeah, I've seen all your hellos and locations. Thank you for joining me in that brief exercise. Okay, so I would like to urge us that as the live session is going on, please, if you have questions or concerns, just drop them in and we will address them while this chat is ongoing. Hi, Abena Diami, joining us from Ghana. So we have people from Ghana, we have people from Nigeria. Sofua Love from Ghana. Hi, thank you for joining the live session. We can see that we have majority of our people from Ghana and Nigeria joining this live session. Okay. So I was saying that if you have questions or concern, please drop it in the chat box and we'll address it while we are having a chat. So today we have a very important guest in our midst. And this guest is from GMAT. Okay, I know most of us are very familiar with the examination. We're also familiar with the word GMAT. Some of us do not even know does not really know if it's an exam or what it entails or the opportunities that are there for those that are studying or writing the GMAT exams. So that is the reason why we are having this live today, for us to discuss and have conversation about all the opportunities that are available for those that are interested or that have already written the GMAT exams, and also the study abroad countries study abroad opportunities, the countries you can go to apply that would give you advantage when you have written GMAT exams. So like I mentioned, we have a very important guest, a representative from GMAT that will be joining us shortly. Please welcome him as I add him to this chat. I'm about to send him the request. Okay. Just a few minutes for me to add him to all those that are just joining us now. Just a few minutes for our guests to join us. Okay. Hey. Hi. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining this live session.
Thank you, Alima.
So thank you for joining us. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thank you very much. How are you, too?
I'm fine. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we are thrilled to have you here, and we have guests on the show that are interested in watching and learning more about GMAT from you joining us. So let's dive right in and then get to the props of the day. So please, can you introduce yourself and tell us about your role with GMAT?
Thank you very much, Alima. So I see only myself. I was seeing you before I joined. I'm not seeing you again. I'm not familiar with Instagram Live, but I guess that's probably how it is, right?
Oh, but I'm actually seeing you. I don't know about the other guests if they are seeing both of us. Please, can you guys confirm if you are seeing both I and please?
If all is fine, if everyone can see us, then I think we can just move forward, right?
Okay, so someone just said we can see both of you.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess it's just my screen. I'm seeing myself. I'm not seeing you, but it's fine.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Alima. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, thank you.
And it's a very great conversation we're about to have about the GMAT exam.
Yes.
My name is David Adejuron. I'm speaking from Lagos, Nigeria, and I'm happy to sort of introduce myself.
Oh.
I work for an organization called Graduate Management Admission Council. We are the proud owners of the GMAT exam. We work with a lot of business schools all across the world, and we do many other things. But of course, we are most popular for the GMAT exam, in a good way and in a bad way sometimes.
Okay.
But well, I'm the market development manager for Middle East and Africa, so I handle all our activities within the Middle East and Africa region.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for that brief introduction. I think you've actually covered up all we need to know about you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here on this live, and I know that we would all get insightful information. Okay, so I know a lot of us here are very peculiar, or we are very interested to know what GMAT is about and why GMAT is important.
Okay. Thank you, Alima. So the GMAT exam, it's an acronym for Graduate Management Admission Test.
Okay.
And from the name itself, or from the long name, I'm sure it's very easy to understand that, okay, this is a test for admission and for the management side of education, and also at the graduate level. So GMAT is basically like a passport that gets you into top relevant business schools and business programs all across the world. It is used by more than 7,700 business programs all across the world, and it's used within more than 2,500 business schools.
Wow.
And these business schools are scattered all across. It's not just these are not schools that are just accumulated within one particular region or one particular country, but they are all across. It's the gold standard admission test into graduate management programs within business schools. And you'd have business schools like the Harvard Business School, in the US, Kellogg's, and many other schools over there. London Business School in the UK, several schools in across Europe, across Middle East, and even also across Africa. So yes, indeed, GMAT is an exam that a candidate takes when they're trying to go for a business program within a business school, and they're trying to add it. They have to add it along with the document, the resume, the transcript, undergraduate transcript, and every other requirement that has been asked of by the school. They submit this together for the school to look at in a very holistic manner and consider them for a spot within their business program and within their business school.
Okay, thank you for that brief introduction of what GMAT is and why GMAT is also important. And that was very insightful. So we would like to know who can take GMAT. Some people might feel that it's an exam for everyone, while some will feel that it's an exam for a specific set of people. So we are here to clarify that. We'd like you to clarify who can take GMAT and what program typically requires it. I know you explained it in the why GMAT is important, but can you just explain again, like holistically, who can take GMAT and what are the programs that usually requires GMAT to be taken?
Sure, Alima. So who should be the people taking the GMAT?
Yeah.
Anyone and everyone looking at going to a business school. And you're trying to. And now, as many of us know already, as many candidates who are trying to get into business schools or schools, we know already, for every one slot or one seat in the classroom, you have a number of candidates who are vying for that particular seat. And the schools would have to look and consider every document and everything about each candidate to see if they're a great fit for their program. If they would, in a very, very great manner, be able to go through and deal with the rigors of the program within the school. So this is why the schools would say, along with your other document that you've submitted, we need to see your GMAT score. We need to see how you performed on the GMAT exam for us to be able to see how great a fit you have with our programs. Now, the GMAT exam was designed because of, the introduction side and time, I didn't really explain this. The GMAT exam was designed by business schools back in 1953, thereabouts, and it was designed for business schools.
For business schools?
By these same business schools. And it was also designed to understand the sort of skills prospective business school candidates bring to the table, and if these skills can be nurtured. It's basically just take it as some sort of raw material, right? And the schools would have to take your skills, which would serve as the raw material, take you through a 1-year, 2-year program within their business school, and sort of bring out that diamond, that gold from that raw material. Now they need to make sure that you have the raw material, and that's what the GMAT exam helps them understand. It helps them understand the skills, the little skills you bring to the table, for them to be so certain that you're a great fit for their program, for them to be so certain that, yes, these are skills we can work on. These are skills that our professors can work on. And these are skills that can definitely go through the rigors of this program. And at the end of the day, these candidates, after graduating from our program, would be able to do good in the community, in the business world, perhaps by being in one of the top companies, or perhaps by starting something great of their own. And the school would be proud when a student has accomplished that, because they would be able to brag about this candidate that this is one of our alumni. And that's where the GMAT exam helps them paint that picture, to see the prospects of the candidate, to see if they can work on this candidate, to help the candidate achieve their own dreams that they are actually coming to the business school for. So yes, if you are a candidate, you're applying for business schools or to business schools for business school programs, and you really want to stand out from among the crowd. Remember I mentioned that you have, for every seat, you have a lot of candidates who are vying for that seat within a program, within a business school. And now the school needs to select and understand if you're a better fit than candidate B. So
Okay.
now, if you want to do that, you have to take the GMAT exam to help you stand out from the crowd for the admissions team to be able to look and say, yes, indeed, this is a candidate we really need to have within our program. And we'll also talk about scholarship later, how GMAT exam
Oh
can
yeah.
definitely help you get scholarship. But yes, I just wanted to limit it to the entry into program and how it is required.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. I think most people are even the scholarship part and how GMAT can help people get that is something we'll discuss later on. But as he has mentioned that GMAT help upskill your application. Remember that there are a lot of people in the pool looking at applying to this to each particular business school. But once you've written GMAT, it helps bring you from a level to a particular higher level than a other candidate that doesn't have it also. So given the importance of writing this exam and how it helps build a candidate's profile for application, can you give us an overview of the exam structure and sections for GMAT so people would know what to
Thank you.
expect when they're about to write the exams?
Okay, so thank you. I'm sorry, I'm trying to navigate between two screens,
Yeah,
right? Because
that's
I
fine.
have my presentation on my PC and well. So the GMAT exam uh, basically is an exam that has three sections. And I'm sure, I mean, from what I've been talking about and the fact that this was designed by business schools and it's used to gain entrance into business schools and business school programs at the graduate level, you would be able to understand and sort of agree with me when I'm talking or when I start talking about the structure or the sort of content we have within the GMAT exam. And you would also be able to say, yes, indeed, yes. These are really skills that the schools would need to understand as you're coming into their program. So the GMAT exam has three sections: quantitative reasoning, and I'm sure you'll be able to say yes, indeed. Oh, yeah, it's logical. It's a no-brainer. These
It's
are skills that the schools would definitely
when
want to know to understand that yes, you can work within a team. You can reason in a quantitative manner, just because you definitely need this within the business school. Then the second section that is within the GMAT exam is the verbal reasoning. And of course, yes, I'm sure you can definitely also agree with me that yes, indeed, this is a logical section that needs to be within a test that takes you into a business school. And then we have the final section, which is data insights. Quantitative reasoning, I don't need to explain much on that. Uh, I think it's sort of explanatory on its own. It's not a test of mathematics, right? It's not a test of memory. The GMAT exam is not a test of memory. It's rather a test of reasoning, and that you don't need to have memorized things. It basically just tests how you reason in the quantitative manner. That's for the quantitative reasoning. The verbal reasoning does the same. It tells test how you reason in a verbal manner, and then the data insight basically tries to understand if you're able to infer and draw some conclusion from a set of data. And I'm sure many of us would also know that yes, the world is really data driven now,
yeah.
and that's why the business schools really want to ensure that the candidates they bring into their programs, the candidates that go through their programs, the candidates they produce and give back to the world, to the community, are really great, or they're able to work very comfortably with data. Quantitative reasoning takes just 45 minutes,
Okay.
and it has just questions around problem solving. Verbal reasoning takes 45 minutes as well, and it has questions around critical reasoning and then reading comprehension. And data insight takes 45 minutes as well, and it has table analysis, graphics interpretation, data sufficiency, and I'm sure you can relate that yes, this is really about basic data. In total, the
Okay.
GMAT exam has 64 questions, and it takes just 2 hours, 15 minutes to go through.
2 hours 15 minutes. Oh wow. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that detailed explanation on the structure of GMAT. Yeah, I know you've also mentioned how it upskills candidates' application. So we'll just go right
Yes.
down to the proper of the scholarship, which I know most people on this live are really interested in. So how does GMAT help in scholarship process?
So, great question. And there's no clear answer to this,
Okay.
or there's no one answer to
Me
this,
too.
because there are several scholarship organizations out there, aside from the ones offered by the business schools.
Okay.
And then there are those scholarships offered by the business schools as well. And each and every of these scholarship organizations, and then the ones from business schools, have their own requirements and have their own way of looking at it. But of course, there's a very general way. Many of them and most of them look at your GMAT test score to understand how what sort of skills do you bring to the table for this business program that you've applied for, and what are your chances of being able to deal with the rigors, right? And the motivation and all those other things. Those are the things that they put into account when they're considering you for scholarship. So yes, I have had, selecting some examples, I have had a couple of, I've known of a couple of schools
Yeah.
that have had GMAT as a requirement for you to get into their programs
Okay.
for the general public, right, for the general candidate pool. And then, without you necessarily even applying for the scholarship, they realize that not only have you gotten in a great score, or you've done well at the GMAT in the GMAT exam, and then you definitely deserve getting into their programs and getting the admission letter. But they've also singled out candidates and they've said, no, these candidates has done really, really well, and we need to consider them for some special scholarships that we have, even if the candidate has not applied for scholarship. So yes, that's one way it helps.
It sounds okay.
Without you necessarily applying for scholarship, there are some schools that see your GMAT performance while you're applying to their programs, and they're like, no, let's see how we can support these candidates through the scholarship because they qualify for the scholarship. Then, apart from that, that's the general pool. We have those, out of all candidates applying to a school,
Yeah.
not every one of us, and not every one of them applies for the scholarship programs that are there within the school. So there are a few of them, some percentage of them, some fraction of them that would say, yes, I really need scholarship for me to be able to study within your program.
Okay.
What scholarship opportunities do you have? Then schools would provide this list of scholarships that they have within their program and within their school. They give us information to you, and then you have a select few candidates applying to this scholarship. And within this requirement for these scholarships, you will see that the GMAT also plays a role. And the GMAT exam, the way it's usually used for scholarships, especially the school-based scholarships, is usually you performing better
Okay.
than the normal requirements necessary for you to gain entry into the program. So now, perhaps if the minimum score, I don't want to put a figure to it, for a particular school is at this level, they would say, okay, yes, for us to then even consider it for scholarship, you need to perform a little bit better than what is necessary for your entry.
Wow.
I'm just trying not to put a figure to the score,
It's actually very
so that doesn't confuse us or make us feel like, no, this is the score I really want to move forward to.
Okay.
And then, apart from that, even though the GMAT exam still plays a role in a couple of other scholarships that are not necessarily bound on how well you've performed better on the GMAT, it might be a need-based scholarship from these schools.
Okay.
But they would still want to see that, okay, it's not just because the candidate doesn't really have the money to finance this and the parents are struggling civil servants, but we still need to ensure that not only does the candidate need the finance, but yes, if we bring them in and we give them some finance to help them with some scholarship, they would still not struggle within their program. So yes, the GMAT exam still plays a role within the scholarships that are not that are need based, financial need based, and rather not on merit in terms of academic qualifications.
Oh.
And then there are several other organizations, loan providers like Prodigy Finance, like Empower Financing, and a couple of other scholarship bodies, governmental and non-governmental bodies, that also need you to present your GMAT score for them to see that yes, indeed, this candidate to whom we are providing a loan,
Oh,
or this candidate to whom we
yeah.
are providing a scholarship, is really deserving
For,
of this loan and scholarship, and the purpose for which we are giving them this scholarship or loan will be fulfilled, because we've seen the potential of this candidate through the GMAT exam.
oh, wow.
So yes, to answer your question in short, Halima, I know I've taken it longer. To answer in short, the GMAT exam really plays a very, very important role in not only the application to the business schools,
Yeah.
but also getting scholarships from the business schools, getting scholarships from non-business schools, from other organizations
Mm-hmm.
for your programs in the business schools, and also for getting loans from loan providers.
Wow, that's insightful. Thank you so much for this information. So as we've heard, it's not only for admission, but for also getting financial aid, like financial loans from organization. GMAT is there to help you get these loans and scholarship, as well as admissions too. So there are different ways at which GMAT helps candidates, and he has explained all three of them. Okay, thank you so much. And then you also mentioned, I think you were mentioning a score. I know there is a score to GMAT, but I know there are people that might have taken the exam at first, but didn't meet the score points for each school. I know each school requires a particular score point. There are schools with lesser, there are schools with higher, depending on the particular school's requirements. So given the general notes, yeah, so if a particular student writes GMAT and doesn't meet the score at first attempt, what would you advise the student to do?
Great question, Alima. And from your question, I think I've gotten about 2, 3 questions
Okay, okay,
from that as well.
all right.
The number one question, what you directly asked was if a candidate does not meet the points, and then you're asking what other opportunities are there for them to be
Yes.
able to take it, right? Uh, I would take it back a bit, right? Because when we say if the candidate does not meet, they don't pass or they don't meet a
The
point,
point, yes.
there's no particular judgment on that for the GMAT exam, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically just like you said,
Yeah.
depending on the school you're applying to. So you want to work with bodies like Nexi Consulting, Nexi Limited, to understand
Yeah.
what are the scores that would get me into this particular school that they're trying to process admission for me into. And
Okay.
based on that, you would work and say, okay, this is what I need to attain on the GMAT exam or the GMAT test. And then when you look at another school, the score they might have dictated or they might need might be different from what the other another school is looking for.
Okay.
So my point is, you cannot say I have passed my GMAT test, or I have succeeded in my GMAT test, or I'm done, I'm great, I've done the GMAT test, and I'm ready to push forward if you don't know the test score or the minimum score that is needed for
Okay.
the school you are applying to. And that there are also some other schools that have said, yes, you really need the GMAT exam, it's a requirement, but we don't have a particular minimum score. We just want you to do your best in the GMAT exam
And
and then submit your score. We'll look at it, we'll add it to other documents you've submitted, and we'll look at it in a very holistic manner. So I would say understand the school to which you are applying and understand what score they need for the GMAT before you're able to judge and say, yes, this is the score I'm trying to attain on the GMAT. But yes, let's cross that. Let's assume you particularly have a school,
okay.
and you have a minimum score that you're working towards based on the requirement from the school. And then you take the GMAT exam, and you've not really done as well as you would want. Let's assume that the minimum score required by this particular school is 555, or let's say 505 or 605. And then, so I'm taking 505, for example, and you've done your GMAT exam and you've seen that you've gotten only 515.
Okay.
That still gets you into the school because the minimum requirement has been beaten.
Yeah.
But you might say, I'm looking and I'm aspiring for more than just getting to the school. I want to even do more to show to the school that I really can perform well on my GMAT test. Or you might say, this gets me into the school. The 515 gets me into the school, but I really am looking forward to getting the scholarship as well, the one David mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And I think it's better if I get a 545. My chances are better getting a scholarship than if I got a 515. And then you can decide and say, yes, I need to get some better score on my GMAT. So yes, you have the opportunity to take the GMAT exam again. You've taken it once, you can take a few days, a few weeks to prep again and up your skills. And then within 16 calendar days, you sit for the next GMAT, for your own next GMAT test. And I'm sure with the right preparation, you will be able to surpass the score you got in the previous time.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That was insightful, and that was quite informative for people that are scared of not meeting the specific score point for the school. Like Mr. David just mentioned, there are different ways to it. There are schools that do not require score points, and there are schools that will require. And so we just need to get the information before we start the application process. Also, while the students are at it, what are the effective strategic ways you would have students prepare for the GMAT exam? Because we know that there
Thank
is a
you.
score point, and then there is a target for them to meet, especially for the score point. So are there ways or strategies you can tell them to study for GMAT so they can meet their target points?
Yes. Great question, Alima. Number one thing I would like to point out before we start talking about strategies, we've talked a lot about score points. Alima has also mentioned it here. But many of us might know what the score scale is for GMAT exam. But I mean, I think it's great if I just drew the attention of a couple of others who might not really be familiar with what the score scale is. So we have a minimum obtainable score for the GMAT exam standing at 205, and then the maximum obtainable score is 805. So at any given point in time when you sit for your GMAT exam, you would get something from 205 to 805. It could be 605, it could be 755, but those are that's the score scale for the GMAT exam. Yes, some of you who are very much conversant with the GMAT exam might say, well, David, wait a minute. I used to see something around 200 and 800 for the GMAT exam. I don't really know what this new scale is. I think it's news that has circulated across already, but it's still possible that some of us might not really be familiar with the fact that this is the old, I would say the classic GMAT exam, which sort of ended in January. And now we have a new score scale for the GMAT exam, the future GMAT exam, which is already here, and that's what we have for the next foreseeable future. It's between 205 and 805. And of course, you might also be asking, what about me? Well, I took my exam last year and I have the old score scale. That's not a problem. Those score scales are very much comparable, and whatever school you're submitting these scores to, they already are familiar with either of the two score scales, and they know how to, what's your score on the old score scale means on the new score scale, and what your score on the new score scale would mean or translate to on the old score scale. I just wanted to mention that, but now let me go forward with the question Alima has asked.
Okay.
I'm a candidate, I'm aspiring to go to a particular school. Within Nigeria, within Kenya, in South Africa, or it could be in London, or it could be in the US, or it could be in China. And then, of course, Alima from NEXI and David from the GMAT, official GMAT team, have told me that definitely I need a GMAT exam to be able to get into these business schools and show to these schools that, yes, I'm in business and I definitely deserve a seat in your program. Now, how do I prepare to put my best foot forward on the GMAT? I want to take it once, and that's what most candidates do, right? They take the GMAT exam once, and they're good with their score, they get to their program. Now, what are the things you need to do, the strategies, according to what Alima has mentioned? Now, what you probably want to do at first is Whether you're familiar with the GMAT exam or not, try to refamiliarize yourself with the exam itself. And the first step is very much free.
Okay.
Apart from working with Nexi Consultant Limited and then helping them guide you, since they are very, very much versatile and knowledgeable about this, you can also go to nda.com. This is where you have all the information about the GMAT exam,
Yeah.
registration for the exam, preparation materials, and many of the information I have downloaded here and much more are all on nba.com. It's the one-stop shop for all the information about GMAT. Now you go to the prep site, create a quick account on nba.com.
Yeah.
From your account dashboard, you're able to see some free prep materials. There are some paid prep materials as well, or you can just start with the free prep material, right? And try to see the questions from the quantitative reasoning, which I showed you earlier, from data insight and verbal reasoning, and try to understand what sort of questions they have. Familiarize yourself with the ideal questions that are coming from these sections, just for you to know and get a hang of it. Then, once you've done that, another thing I would say you should do, right on this page as well, the prep page, there is a 6-week study planner
Okay.
that you can use. It guides you on what sort of prep materials that you're engaging with. You can further engage with in week 1, week 2, and so on and so forth. Follow this strategy, follow this to sort of get a balance on understanding the questions within the GMAT exam, and then you can go back to the prep materials, the preparation, the free demo exams to test your knowledge. What you've acquired, what you've studied, what you've prepped on, test it on a demo exam to see
Yeah.
if you've done better, and basically to understand your strength and your weakness. Then, when you've highlighted your strength and your weakness, you want to focus on your weakness. No need to focus on your strength again in a very great amount. Focus on your weakness, go back to the prep materials, and then try to up your weakness, try to get it better with those prep materials, and also with the assistance of Nexi Limited. And they can guide you with past materials and of course, a little bit of tutoring as well. And then you go back again to the demo exam. And that's how you do until you realize that, wow, now you're very much ready for the GMAT exam. You would know when you are ready for the GMAT test, and you will feel that confidence within you. And no one will tell you that, yes, this is the time I need to sit for this exam and I need to send my scores to these very wonderful schools.
All right.
So, yes, I don't know if I covered your question, Alima.
You did. So some of the points I picked was that, first of all, thank you to GMAT for making this resources available for students to go through, for those that are prepping to write the exam. And also the demo test. I think that's a very important resource that is available on gmat.com for students to go through, do the exam. If we do it again, you have as much as possible time to try it until you get it. Like I said, you would know when you're ready to take the test. You would know within yourself when you're ready to take the test. So I would encourage everyone to do that. If you do not know how to go to the GMAT website, still reach out to us through our DMs and we will direct you. Remember that Nexi Concept Limited is your one-shop plug to studying abroad. Like we mentioned earlier, there are a lot of schools that require you to write GMAT. There are a lot and few schools that require you to write GMAT in order to get into business schools. Now, we are partners with these business schools and we can help you get in. Also, we can help you write your GMAT. We understand the processes, we understand how it works. We can help you get it, navigate the portal or the site on how to get these free materials for you to take the courses or the demo test, get confidence in yourself, do the test, and then get a high score. Okay, so like I said, we are still your one-shop plug, and then with the assistance of GMAT, we will help you get into your desired school. Okay, so thank you so much. And I noticed that we are not getting questions. I feel most people are waiting till the end of the, once we are done with this session for them to start sending in their question. You can send them in most of the time you might forget some important question that you need to put in, like the scholarship part. If you have any question, just send it in and we will address it later on. If you have questions about this particular segment too, please send it in and then we will address it. Okay, so while hoping to see your questions, we'll move on with the chat. Okay, so how far advanced do you think students should prepare before writing the test, the GMAT test?
Thank you, Alima. These are very, very on point questions.
Yeah.
As we, as candidates, try to get into preparing for their business school programs and then preparing for the GMAT exam and then also getting their desired programs, of course, for the future, for their future.
Yeah.
Now, I would want to go back a little bit to my own time. So I've taken the GMAT exam.
Oh.
I took it when I was going to a business school.
Okay.
And during my time, I didn't have bodies like, I'm so sorry. So a call was just disrupting. So I didn't have bodies like Nexi Concept Limited assisting. And I think back then I didn't even have anyone joining from the GMAT official team
Yeah.
online
Yeah.
to give us some tips. So I had to do it on my own, right?
Yeah.
And thankfully enough, I was able to use the materials I found on my own dashboard and so on to prep myself. And maybe because of that, I had to try to look at what worked best. I would try this, and then I would feel like, okay, yeah, what should I do? But I was able to scale through it, and I'm just trying to let you know that the stage where many of you are now, I understand. I've been through it, and I'm talking from experience now. But I'm also talking to the point or to the fact that you even have more resources than I did, or many of us did when we were trying to go into business schools or take our GMAT exam. So now, leads me to the prep materials I mentioned on MBA.com earlier and the dashboard. There was something I mentioned. There was something I called 6-week study planner. So this was something that wasn't there when I was trying to take my GMAT exam. But good thing, lucky you, it's there. The GMAT official team has been kind enough to look at years of data of candidates who took the GMAT exam and to look at their study pattern, their preparation pattern for the GMAT, and the average of what worked for most of the candidates, or the average candidates. And then they computed it and they put it together in a very, 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 very simple sheet, which can also be shared with you by Nexi Concept Limited, the 6-week study planner. And from the name itself, it gives you the timeline. 6 week, week 1, there are some suggested things for you to look at within the prep materials. Look at question 1, look at question 2, look at quantitative reasoning, data insights, study this and that. Then week 2, do something on the on another subject and whatever within the sections. Then with 3, it probably tells you that now sort of summarize what you've learned within week 1 and week 2 and put it into text. Go to the exam, the demo exam, try to put into text what you've learned or what you've been able to do within 2 weeks. And then from there, you're able to understand your weakness, your strength. Then it tells you week 4, do this. So it's the guide that it has been, that it has sort of computed for you to go through the preparation for 6 weeks. But yes, fingers are not equal, like we always say, right, in Africa.
Yeah, that's true.
And what Alima might be able to quickly understand might be different from myself. Alima perhaps also has a 9-to-5 job, while I am just a recent graduate. So the time I have to dedicate to preparation might be different from what Alima has.
Yeah.
So my point is, the way fingers are not equal, I cannot say this 6-week study planner is what each and everyone should definitely follow. And once you're done with the 6 week, then go for your GMAT. No. And I would also not say this is the only resource that you should use. It's just a guideline.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very great guideline, a very, very great start for you to put your foot forward and understand how to find your balance. And then yes, on the average from data, like I said, many candidates have used this 6-week study planner, and then they've been able to find their foot and they're ready for the exam. And then after 6 weeks, using that, they go for the exam, right? And of course, with the assistance of folks like Nexi Concept Limited. But there are some candidates who also just within 4 weeks of using the 6-week study planner, they're like, okay, I think I've covered everything in 4 weeks. I don't need to study for 2 extra weeks. I'm ready to go for it. And then they go for the GMAT exam and they're good. They get great scores. While after 6 weeks, some candidates will still say, okay, I think I need 2-3 extra days beyond the 6 week. So my point is, you can use 6 weeks as a guide, but it is not the gold standard. Try to see what works best for you along those 6 weeks, but what has been recommended from past data of candidates who have taken the GMAT, prepared for it, and done extremely well is the 6 week that they've committed to studying and preparing for the GMAT.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So I would just to round up, because we have few more minutes to go. What is the final advice you have for students generally? What's all the advice or the final advice? I know you've been telling us about this, do this, don't do this, go to this place, go to mba.com. So what's the general advice you have for students that are looking to write the GMAT? The final advice, yes.
Thank you. So I would want to go back to what I said about fingers not being equal. And I think it's something we can all relate with, right? And I made an example of me, Halima, and so on. We have different schedules. We have different way of assimilation. So Halima might study best at night, while I study best, during the day or even evenings as well. So try to understand yourself. Understand what works best for you. And as you're trying to understand what works best for you, look at the materials you have to prepare for the GMAT exam, the ones that you found either online on MBA.com or the ones that have been provided to you by Nexi Concept Limited, and try to work with those. And as you try to figure out, this is my strength, this is my weakness, this is what I need to work on more, this is what I need to just take a little bit. And as you're trying to do that, as you do that continuously, you'll be able to streamline what exactly you need to focus on. And of course, while you're preparing or while you're taking the demo exams, my strict suggestion is try to assume you're in the real testing scenario, right? Where you're not supposed to have anyone distract you. You would not be having anyone distracting you at the exam center, whether you're taking it online at home or whether you're taking it at a test center. You would not be having anyone distract you, right? The proctor and the invigilators would not allow. So if you're taking your demo test, assume you're in the real testing space, and your kids shouldn't disturb you, your siblings shouldn't disturb you, and just time yourself. And if you even go beyond the time and you've not been able to finish, try again, and until you will be able to sort of get what works best. And of course, work closely with bodies like Nexi Concept Limited. They have been guiding candidates like you for quite a while, and they're quite good at it. And they can sort of help you understand your weaknesses and your strengths. And their goal, I believe, is to get you in your desired business degree, in your desired business school, and in your desired business program. And feel free to use them as a very great resource.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for that final information.
Sorry, Halima, can I add a point as well? Something I was going to add as well. And please, don't act on hearsay.
Okay.
So don't act on what your friend has said. Oh, you can't take the exam, it's quite difficult. Oh no, you need 10 years to prepare for the GMAT. Or No, don't worry. You need only 1 day to prepare for the GMAT and then you're good to go. Don't act on hearsay. You can definitely take advice from folks, but make sure you're taking advice from those with, I would say, perhaps some experience
Yeah.
or some results that you can see, right? Maybe a colleague that has definitely gone through the GMAT and now it has landed them in a very great institution, or folks like Nexi, like I mentioned. And advices you're taking from whosoever it is, don't just act on it. You can sort of take them and consume them to have them as guidance. But whatever they tell you, whatever has been communicated, whatever has been said, it's difficult, it's not difficult, use this and do that. Try to put this to test as well. If someone tells you, don't try the verbal reasoning at all, it's very difficult, don't listen. Go to the verbal, you have the materials.
Yeah.
Go to the verbal reasoning section itself and try to understand the concept, right?
Yeah.
Until you have an idea of what the format is, and then you start putting that into use. Then the second thing is, once you start engaging with the prep materials, the first time you start engaging with the prep materials, don't just say, oh, no, I'm not getting this. I think it's difficult. Or it's very easy. Oh, I don't need to study more. No. Try, it's a process. Remember the GMAT test. The GMAT test is not a test of memory. It is a test of reasoning.
Okay.
So you cannot say because you've tested and you've practiced 5 questions or 100 questions, then you can just cram and memorize these things within your head. And when the exam comes, you're able to tackle the exams. No, try to understand what the approach. It's rather about the approach of answering the quantitative reasoning set question, the verbal reasoning question, and then data insight. Once you understand the approach, which will definitely take you a few practice sessions, then I'm sure you're very much ready for the real GMAT test. Thank you, Alima.
Oh, thank you so much. Like, your explanation has been very elaborative and very inclusive too. Because I know everyone on this live session has been able to get one information or the other about GMAT. Okay, so we'll leave the floor now for people to ask questions. Please, from the beginning of this session till now, I know you've had a lot of information from the GMAT representative, Mr. David, and then if you have any question at all within the context of this chat conversation that we're having today, please drop it on the chat box and then he would be here to answer it. Remember, this is a representative from GMAT. He's a representative from GMAT and he has the first class information to give to you. So if you have any question that you can ask, that you want to ask at this moment, please put it on the chat box. Also, if you do not want to ask it on this chat box, you can send it as a DM to us and we will relate it to him and he will respond. Or if it's something we can also handle on our own part, we will respond to it and then take it further from there. Okay, so we will be waiting for all your questions. Please, guys, don't tell me we've actually answered all the questions or we've asked all the questions that is on your mind. I know,
Looks like we've done a good
I know
job.
we were very thorough. I know we're very thorough with the question, but there must be one or two things that is on your mind that you need to ask. Seriously, just put it out and then we would answer your questions. I know Mr. David is a very good speaker. He was very, very elaborate with all his answers. Even went beyond expectation, actually. You went beyond expectation for all the questions we asked you. You really did well. Okay, so we'll be ending the live soon. In the ask, sorry, I'm still going around to see if there was a question before. Um, okay. Sorry. Okay. So in the absence of no question, we want to give our sincere appreciation to Mr. David for joining this live session. We thank you for giving us this valuable information about GMAT. And okay, so we're having questions coming now. Okay. So someone, Gaps Ayamu is asking, please, how long is the GMAT test?
Thank you, Gab. We sort of covered this earlier when I was talking about the three sections, and each of the section has 45 minutes. So when you take 45 minutes, 45 minutes, 45 minutes, that gives you 2 hours, 15 minutes in total.
Okay, so she's asking me further, what is the cost of the test?
Yes. Gab, there are two modes of the test, right? You can decide and say, I have great internet facility, and I don't want to go to a test center down in Lagos, down in Accra, down in wherever I am located in. I want to take it from the comfort of my office or my home. You can take it on your PC, right? It's the online option, the online at home option. That is 275 US dollars. Or you can decide to go for the test.
Okay.
Yes, 275 for the online option. But the test center option, which you can go and to any designated test center after you've registered, of course, online, and you've selected the exam, you can go to any test center at any city where you're located, and that's 250 US dollars.
Oh, wow, 250. Okay. All right. So we've gotten the information on the fee. Does anyone have any other question about the GMAT? Okay. Okay. All right, Mr. David. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time and your expertise on this topic. And I know we've all learned a lot. Okay. And like he mentioned, if you're interested in writing the GMAT, please reach out to Nexi Concept Limited. You can reach us by sending a DM, a direct message on our Instagram, and then you will be transferred to a well-furnished counselor to explain the entire process to you, even down to the fees, how to write, and okay, and the procedures of writing the test and all. So I'm getting question. So far, Love said, ask, sorry, does one pay full to rewrite?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You pay the same cost for taking the exam again, taking the test again. But like I mentioned, many candidates get their desired score at first sitting of the GMAT test. And only those who have felt, no, I need to do more, I feel I can up my score so that I can probably get some scholarship, or perhaps for me to even stand a better chance, are the very few ones who have gone ahead to take the exam again. But many candidates take it just once.
Wow. I hope that answers your question, Sophia Love. All right, thank you so much for joining, all of you. Thank you, Mr. David. Next time we'll meet again.
Thank you, Alima. All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
So all the best.
Bye, please.